everyone. Let's talk about getting out of a funky state. Have you ever been in a funky state? Well, first of all, what is a funky state? It's when you shrink from undertaking or facing about anything. You're in a state of paralyzed fear, depressed state of mind, and I know I've been there. Synonyms of funk are chicken, coward, poltroon, and the antonyms, which means the exact opposite, is to be a hero, to be valiant. So I know several years ago I went through depression. Was pretty bad actually because I decided whether I get out of it or I end my life. It just was not worth living any longer. Well, I took some of my own advice and I'll let you know how I got out of my depression. But funky states, so many people are in a funky state right now because we've been isolated, we've been confined, and it's time to get out of that state. Fortunately, we have a wonderful brain. Did you know that we make new connections in that brain, like a million new connections every second? That's a lot of connections. The brain is plastic. We talk about the plasticity of the brain. That means you can rewire your brain to make it what you want it to be. And did you know you have a switch? I call it the reward switch that you can turn on at will. Let's learn how we do that. So that switch is a dopamine molecule that's being released. It's a reward molecule. That's a molecule that when released will motivate you to get things going. It's deep inside of your brain, right there in the middle. It's where your emotions are getting conditioned. Deep inside, that's where that molecule is being released. When is it being released? Well, for instance, when you eat food, have you ever found out that when you're depressed and you eat something, maybe you feel better? That's because dopamine was released. Some people get the dopamine release by taking cocaine or heroin or different drugs. These are not really conscious choices that we make. That's more unconscious. We know we feel better if we eat or if we take drugs, but in the end, maybe we want to live another way. Because of the confinement, many of us have been inside and we gotten addicted to this little tool there. All of a sudden, I found myself spending time on social media, which I wasn't doing. Why was I doing that? Well, again, that reward molecule gets triggered when you are happy, and just having a happy face come on your social media or a check mark or a heart, oh, we get a release of dopamine, we feel good. So what do? We continue on our social media for half an hour, 2 hours, and all of a sudden half the day is gone because we want to feel good. We want that reward molecule to be triggered, and it's triggered by being with other people that think like us, that encourage us. And yes, it's great to be with people whom we agree with. It makes us feel all fuzzy, right? We are in the same group. They understand me, I understand them, and we don't have arguments. However, there is a caveat to that. If we just stay in our little circle, we just learn what's in our little circle. And more, we've seen factions where people just think this way and people think that way, and nobody talks with each other. Yes, we get that release of feel good, but in the end, it's not necessarily helping this planet get along better. I had an experience a few years ago. I was talking with a colleague of mine. I'm very pro life. She was very pro choice and pro abortion. My understanding, my belief was how can we kill those cuddly little babies? That's what I had in mind. She had a totally different experience. She was working in the inner city of Las Vegas and had 10-year-old girl that had been raped by their father who were pregnant. And I saw the bodies of these 10-year-old girls when they were 9 months pregnant and just did not look right. So it's not necessarily abortion, against abortion, pro choice, pro life. It's a much deeper level that we need to work at because both sides, what do we want? We want happy, children. So let's work towards that goal. And I don't know if you realize, but we are being manipulated because medias and social medias, especially, they know how to trigger that reward molecule in us. I was really dumbfounded what I learned from Edward Bernays. He's considered the father of public relations or marketing. And his book, Propaganda, really will open your mind, if you haven't read it yet, as to why you may be doing something. Many people in this country eat bacon and eggs in the morning because, well, they like it. But why do they like it? Bernice made a whole marketing campaign about eating bacon and eggs for breakfast. Before, not many people had that type of breakfast. So we are manipulated, and I think you want to know how you are being manipulated so you can make conscious choices. Now, I talked about that molecules, the dopamine made way deep inside our brain, but we also have that frontal brain, our frontal cortex. That's where we make conscious choices. That's where we make judgment. And by engaging that, you are less likely to fall prey to marketing and manipulation. It's good to be aware of the choices we make, and that awareness and the decision to make this choice or that choice happen in our frontal brain. People who achieve in life, whether it's in sports, gymnastics, it's in the military, it's having a happy family, it's becoming a musician, or getting a degree in anything, people use that reward molecule to go past what some considered a plateau. Anything that you learn, first of all, you're very enthusiastic, and then you hit that plateau where it's not so much fun to learn the piano any longer. It's not so much fun to study at night. But people who can go past that plateau have learned how to use that reward system in their brain to keep going until they become excellent at what they are doing and get rewarded. So people, again, people who know how to get the laurel of success, know how to use that dopamine reward, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. So molecules, do you like the idea that you're being controlled by molecules? That the media, marketing, advertisement use that to trigger you feeling good, but you're feeling good because it's manipulated. Or do you want to have that choice? How do you get that choice back? How do you get out of funky state where you just keep going day after day, listening to maybe the news, going on social media, tapping, sending some smiley faces? Is that really a life that we want to live? Lao Tzu said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Let's start small to get out of that funky state. I told you that a few years ago, I was in such a depressed state that I wanted to end my life. And instead, I did very small steps day by day, and I got out of that funk. So first, start the morning, make your bed. It's important. I'll explain later on why, but it's a simple step. Get up, you brush your teeth, take a shower, whatever, make your bed. Very simple step. And then, if you have a sink full of dishes, clean the dishes. Could you organize something? Maybe the garage is a mess and you need to organize it. Maybe there is some pile of paperwork, and I have that bothers me a lot. So some days I decide, okay, this pile has to go. Organize your office, organize your closet. It's something that when it's done, you see a difference, an immediate difference, and you're going to get that reward molecule circulating in your brain, making you feel so much better. How about studying something new? During this confinement, I got certified in hypnosis, and right now I'm studying permaculture. I know myself, I know I love to study. I used to say I was a nerd, but I saw somebody who had a T-shirt saying "Crossing the Nerd and saying she was an intellectual badass. I love that better than a nerd. So I'm an intellectual badass. I love to study. And right now I'm studying permaculture. When I was teaching my children, I homeschooled my 7 children, I realized they didn't like the big books, the big math books. They started, they were encouraged, oh, that's a new book. And then pretty soon they didn't like it. However, if I could find the same type of math problems in smaller books, then they would go from one book to another because every time they accomplished, they finished a book, they had that reward system, that reward molecule going through their mind, their brain, their body, making them feel good and motivated to continue and go on to the next one and then get another reward and another reward molecule. You can also do some simple things instead of just putting stuff in a dish, food in a dish, arrange it nicely. If you get to go to a potluck, once a deconfinement is happening, why not just present something very nice? And with my children and my grandchildren, I used to make like sandwiches or different cakes and always made them in a fun shape. So if you have the pleasure of having children or grandchildren, why not make things fun to eat, fun to look at? And the other one there is the wedding cake that my daughter made for her sister. She loves to prepare beautiful cakes and also fold napkins and do calligraphy. So why not do that? Again, if that's something you like and you accomplish, like a page of calligraphy, you're going to have that molecule of happiness, that reward molecule that will help us take the next step. Also, gardening. One of my daughters got some lemon seeds, and in the morning she gets up and looks at the little pot, say, "Oh, this one is sprouting, and oh, this one, did you see get a leaf? And this one is getting a second leaf." And gardening is something that can trigger those molecules of happiness, those reward molecules, because things are happening. It's not the same thing day after day. When you garden, you participate in the life of the plant. And it's rewarding to see how they grow little by little and eventually produce fruit that you can enjoy eating. Anyway, I'm into permaculture right now. So I love gardening. I did a lot of gardening when I was in California. Didn't work so well in Las Vegas and Colorado. Moving to Houston, I already bought all kind of stuff to make more garden. I love gardening. Have you ever gotten the cards like smoothie places? You know, you drink 10 smoothies and they give you one free. And there's many stores also that have reward system. If you spend so much money, you get a $10 reward. Well, they know how to make that molecule work. You get that trigger of, oh, I'm gonna feel good. Once I've drank 10 smoothie, I'm gonna get my 11th one free. That motivates us to drink smoothies. We want that reward. So it gets us to drink more smoothies, more coffee, to spend money at that store. So we get that reward. And again, when I was homeschooling my kids, we had rewards card for every week. They had some chores to do, make their bed, brush their teeth, do their laundry, and then study. They had their math, their history, their science. And every time they accomplished the task for the day, they put a star. At the end of the week, they got a reward for how many stars they had been able to put on their card. And you know what? When I was in that funky state, I did the same thing. I prepared myself some cards, I got some stars because our brain still works the same. We're still little children inside. And that gold star, and at the end of the week, so many stars, we did something, we accomplished something, we get that molecule of reward, and we are motivated to continue. Also, during the day, why not stop for 90 seconds? I like Jim Fannin. He's the coach of champions. If I remember well, he brought more people to the Olympics, more athletes to the Olympics than anybody else. And he did about everything in 90 seconds. So plan your day in 90 seconds, and even your week if you want to. You can do that the night before or early in the morning. And then take some 90 seconds break and do some breathing, conscious breathing. The best type of breathing is like inhaling for 4 counts and exhaling for 6 counts. You want the exhalation to be longer than an inhalation. I'll do another let's talk about breathing one of these days to give you exactly a 90-second breathing technique that really calms you down. Or some stretching, it feels so good to stretch. Gratefulness gets you another type of molecule, the serotonin. It's a feel good molecule. I'll do another let's talk about serotonin one of these days. Read some inspirational material. Go into nature. You'll be bathed in natural frequency that will reset your body. Look at the beauty around you, find the harmony. If you like music, listen to pieces of music that calm you down, that makes you feel good. Don't forget hydration. We talked about water, how important it is for your body mind to be well hydrated. And if you know the tapping techniques, stop during your day and do some 90-second tapping. So it's not so much what you do consciously that is important, whether you make your bed, organize a closet, listen to a piece of music, but if you do things consciously, you want to do unconscious things. Your mind is going to be busy doing one thing after another, after another. You make your bed, that molecule of reward is secreted in your brain. You go and clean up the dishes, same thing, and then you clean and organize something, and you do little tasks during the day, and eventually you'll be out of that funky state and motivated to do something bigger in your life than just check your social media to find smiley faces. So in my mini series there on Let's Talk About, we talked about the body. It's important to have clean water, filtered water that gets rid of the chlorine and the fluoride, and you don't want plastic bottles because it's making a mess on this planet. Use healthy salt, very important for the electric conductivity in your body. Now we also start on the mind. So this week we talked about the dopamine reward. Use that dopamine reward to get yourself out of a funk, get yourself motivated to do something useful that is important to you. And I'm going to leave you with that saying. Some people succeed because they are destined to. But most people succeed because they are determined to. And I'm sure you're part of the determined people that want to succeed in life.